You think you've made your own choices, where to work, who to love, what to believe. But what if I told you none of those decisions were truly yours? Since childhood, you've been trained, softly, silently, to obey, to please, to follow rules written by someone else. They told you to be good, kind, loyal. But what they really meant was be easy to control. And while you tried to do everything right, someone else was pulling the strings. They shaped your guilt. They used your hope. They fed you just enough comfort to keep you quiet. That's not an accident. That's strategy. There's a name for it: manipulation. And it doesn't stop until you see it, until you tear it out from the roots. This isn't just a video. This is the moment the spell breaks. And after this, no one and nothing will ever manipulate you again. They didn't break you with violence. They trained you with comfort, with praise when you obeyed, with silence when you questioned. It started before you even knew your name. Be nice. Don't talk back. Good boys don't get angry. They weren't raising a man, they were shaping a tool. Every system you entered, school, family, church, taught you how to submit. Not how to think, but how to follow. Not how to protect yourself, but how to serve others. And you did. You gave and gave and gave, until there was nothing left but quiet resentment. They said, always forgive. Turn the other cheek. Don't be selfish. And you listened. Not because you were weak, but because you trusted. You thought being good would protect you. That love meant loyalty. That people who smiled at you were safe. But the truth is, manipulators love good people, because they're the easiest to bend. They know how to trigger your guilt, how to make their problems your fault, how to disappear when you need them, and show up when they need something from you. And every time it happened, you thought it was your fault. But it wasn't. It was the design. The game was never fair. It was never meant to be. You were raised to be useful, not powerful. And now you see it. The voices in your head telling you to stay quiet, to stay small. They were planted there. But the moment you recognize that, you stop playing their script. You stop being predictable. You stop being theirs. Most people fear manipulation. Machiavelli studied it. While others were busy hoping the world would be fair, he watched how power actually worked. He saw what others refused to see and wrote it down in a book the powerful still read today. The Prince. It's not a guide for tyrants, it's a mirror. It shows how rulers rise, how people are controlled, and how appearances matter more than intentions. Machiavelli taught one brutal truth. People don't want the truth, they want comfort, and whoever controls that comfort controls the people. He introduced two forces, virtù and fortuna. Virtù is your will, your cunning, your clarity. It's your ability to see through illusion and act with force when needed. Fortuna is chaos, the storm, the randomness of life. Most men live at the mercy of fortuna, blaming fate, luck, bad timing. But the prince? He builds virtù. He doesn't beg for control, he takes it. He doesn't wait for justice, he creates order through strategy. He uses people without guilt because he understands. If you don't use them, they'll use you. Sound dark? It is. But it's also real. Because while Ethan tried to be good, others were playing his emotions like piano keys. The prince sees through manipulation. He knows when a smile hides a dagger. He knows when kindness is bait. He doesn't trust blindly. He tests. He observes. He prepares. And that's what Ethan must become. Not a tyrant, but a man who can no longer be played. The prince doesn't fall for sob stories. He doesn't need approval. He lives by one principle: control yourself or be controlled by others. You want to stop being manipulated? Then stop hoping people will stop manipulating you. Start thinking like the prince. The tools have changed. The tactics haven't. They don't wear crowns anymore. They wear smiles. They don't call themselves rulers. They call themselves leaders, partners, coaches, friends. But the game is the same. Control, disguise, domination through emotional leverage. You've seen it. The boss who praises you just enough to keep you working late. The partner who turns every disagreement into your fault. The friend who disappears when you're in pain. but always shows up when they need something. This is manipulation 2.0. Not brute force, emotional force. Not control by fear, control by confusion. They gaslight, they guilt trip. They create chaos, then offer to be your calm. They keep you unsure so you'll stay dependent. And you explain it away. You call it love, loyalty, misunderstanding. But it's not. It's precision. It's calculated. It's strategic fog, designed to keep you lost just long enough to lose yourself. And the worst part? They always say the same thing. I would never hurt you. I'm just trying to help. I love you. Manipulators don't look like villains. They look like everything you ever wanted. Until they get inside your mind and start rearranging the furniture. This isn't paranoia. It's pattern recognition. And once you learn to see the patterns, you can break them. Here's the truth no one told you. Manipulation only works when you need something. Approval, safety, love, belonging. They pull the strings because you gave them your buttons. So how do you stop it? Step 1. Kill the need. Not by becoming cold, by becoming full. When you no longer crave validation, you become unreadable, unplayable. Step 2. Learn to observe without reacting. The manipulator watches your face. They test your tone. They look for signs that you're doubting yourself. The moment they sense weakness, they move in. So give them nothing. No defense, no explanation, just silence. They'll push harder. That's how you know it's working. Step 3. Recognize the pattern, not the person. It's not who is manipulating you, it's how. They follow a script. They create urgency, make you feel guilty, paint themselves as the victim. Once you see the script, it loses its power. You stop reacting. You start predicting. You become immune. Step 4. Build internal law. When you know your values, your real ones, not the ones they gave you, no one can rewrite your code. You stop living in reaction to others. You start living by design. You can still care. You can still love. But you no longer beg for connection. You choose it. And that's the difference between being human and being a puppet. Because the ones who manipulate, they don't know how to love. They only know how to control. But you've outgrown their tricks. You see through their smiles. You don't swing to their moods. You've cut the strings. And now, they don't know what to do with you. There's a version of you that still flinches when someone raises their voice. Still apologizes for things that weren't your fault. Still hesitates to speak the truth because you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. That version of you wasn't born. He was built. Built by guilt, built by fear, built by years of believing that your worth came from being useful to others, from keeping the peace, from being the one who always bends so no one else has to break. But now you see it. You see how the chains were wrapped in praise, how obedience was dressed up as kindness, how silence was sold as strength. You see how every time you hesitated to speak your mind, someone else filled the silence with control. How every time you chose peace over truth, someone else rewrote your story. And that version of you, the one who kept shrinking to make others comfortable, he has to die. Not with rage, with clarity. This is the death of the puppet. The death of the man who needed permission to be himself. The death of the soul that twisted itself into shapes that would never be appreciated. You're not bitter, you're awake. You finally understand that peace bought with self-betrayal is just a prettier form of prison. You don't need to explain yourself anymore. You don't need to prove your value. You are the value. You don't argue with manipulators. You outgrow them. You don't expose them. You stop giving them access. They'll try the old tricks. Guilt, silence, flattery, confusion. But now you're unshakable. Now you smile. And stay still. Because the most dangerous man in the room is the one who can't be moved. That's what you've become. Not loud, not cruel, just free. And no one knows what to do with a man who no longer needs to be liked, only respected. Most people will never see what you've just seen. They'll keep smiling at their captors, thanking their manipulators, apologizing for things they didn't do. They'll keep calling obedience love and the silence peace. They'll keep trading their soul for comfort, and they'll never even realize they're in a cage. Because the cage was painted gold, because the captors said, "I love you," because the world told them that being small was safe and being soft was virtuous. And so they shrink. They play nice, they fold. all while secretly wondering why they feel so hollow, so used, so lost. But you woke up, you saw the strings, you felt the pull, and then you cut them. You didn't just break free, you broke a cycle, one that's been passed down through families, schools, religions, generations, one that tells men to be quiet, to be useful, to never question the hand that feeds them. Even if that hand is choking them, you broke it. And now you have a choice. Because freedom is not meant to be hoarded. It's meant to be spread. You can stay silent. Or you can become the spark, the signal, the alarm clock for those still sleeping. Because someone out there is exactly where you were. Confused, controlled, quietly breaking inside. They think they're crazy. They think they're weak. They think they're the problem. They're not. They're just surrounded by liars, by charmers, by cowards in masks who feed off their loyalty. But no one told them the truth. No one handed them the mirror, until now. So share this, not for likes, not for numbers, but for revolution. This isn't just a video, it's a mirror, a weapon, a cure. And if it woke you up, don't just walk away with the truth in your pocket. Pass it on. Because when you share clarity, you give someone their life back. You end the confusion, you expose the manipulation, you ignite their strength. That's how it spreads. Not as anger, but as awareness. Not as vengeance, but as vision. And when enough of us see clearly, when enough of us refuse to be played, the manipulators lose their grip. Because they don't know how to control people who are no longer ashamed of their power. So welcome to the other side. The side where peace is real, boundaries are firm, and your mind belongs to you. From this moment forward, no one and nothing will ever manipulate you again. And now, go wake the others.